This is my 2021 Fender Jazzmaster Acoustasonic that I got for Christmas from my wife. Never owning anything like this, I did my due diligence and research and found the only real Achilles heel was if the donut broke off of the end of the string and fell down into the circuit board, causing it to short out. Being a computer technician, I know exactly what a piece of loose metal can do to a circuit board. So my solution was to install a set of power pins 2.0 and keep the donut outside of the guitar. Here's the pictures of the process. Here's a close-up of my bridge with the stock pin setup. 6 plastic pins, pretty much standard acoustic guitar layout. So at this point, it's time to start pulling it apart. After unstringing it, the first thing I did was pull the screws on both covers. The cover that's in the center is the one that has the battery pack, and it's right behind the bridge. The other one covers the circuit board. If you look, you can see where I have unplugged the battery pack from the circuit board. Here's a close-up of the connector where the battery connects to after I removed the cable. Here's the cover with the battery pack removed. Pretty simple setup. In my humble opinion, this may be the most important picture that you see in this video. This is the backside of the bridge. And as you can see, there is a brass grounding plate, soldered wire and everything, over the holes on the backside of the bridge. First thought was, I don't have to use the metal adapter that's basically a piece of metal with 6 holes that the power pin package supplies for the backside of the bridge, since that would be redundant. But then my second thought was, so when the wires come through and you push them pins down, you're binding them against the side of this brass plate because the pins and the donut go below that. And I could see where the wire being up against that metal, especially for people who put them pins in tight, might cause a donut failure. You know, again, there was only 3 or 4 of them that I heard of out of the hundreds of posts that I read. But, you know, that's the whole reason I'm doing this. And when I saw this, I was more convinced than ever that I was on the right track. So, this is what the backside looks like. Time to start installing the power pins. Here's the power pin 2.0 package. I neglected to take a picture of the contents when I dumped it out. But to sum it up, there's the 6 actual power pins. There's 6 Allen head wrench screws with 3 flat washers and 1 locking washer, split washer, for each bolt. And there's the Allen head wrench that fits the screws or bolts. That's pretty much the contents of the package plus the instructions. I'll explain what the washers are for when we get into the installation. I neglected to mention there's the plate with the 6 holes which we're not using, so that's also included in the package. So here's a picture with 1 power pin installed and the second one getting ready to be installed. This is pretty much the whole thing. You're pushing the bolt up from the back side, and then you set the power pin down on top of it, which has a threaded hole in the bottom of it, and then you hand tighten it in from the back side until it's in place. And then you repeat that step. If you were using the plate that came with it, you'd put in the low E and the high E first, but since we're not, and the plate that's in there is fixed, you can pretty much just go from one end to the other. Here's what the backside looks like after the installation is done. And you can see the washers, and here's what I'll explain about that. The instructions say that you have to keep the top of the bolt about 2 millimeters, 30 seconds, somewhere around there, below flush with the hole. Otherwise, the power pin won't sit down far enough to give you the break. So each guitar varies, so you always use the lock washer, and then you can use 1, 2, or 3 of the flat washers. For this particular guitar, I had to take one of the flat washers away, so I had 1 lock washer and 2 flat washers, and that worked perfectly. I tightened them down snug. You don't have to try to lock them in place with the lock washers because they're really not going to be flopping about. So you just want to snug them up so that they don't move on their own accord. You'll be able to tell it's sort of a feel type of a thing. Here's the front view with all 6 of them in place. I only hand tightened at this moment. I snug them up a little more once I figured out exactly what distance I was going to put in between them. The picture's a little canted, but it's about 30 seconds between the center of each of the power pins for my particular guitar. I basically made sure that the low E was straight, and then after doing a couple of trial runs, I figured out that 30 seconds was about the optimum starting point, and I snugged them down there before I got ready to add the strings. Here's the finished product with the strings on. I've got some side shots so you can see the break angle. Here's a picture of the low E side so you can see the break angle on the wires. And finally, here's the break angle from the high E side. She's all done and hanging on the wall again. I've been playing it like this for 2 weeks now. Nothing's come loose. To me, it sounds absolutely the same as it did before, and I'm more than satisfied with that. I didn't put these on for any other reason than to keep metal donuts from bouncing around on the inside of the body. They don't look too bad either, really, and they made stringing up actually quite easy. It's a pretty simple process. You can go and PowerPin's website and look at the instructions and see everything that I saw there. I didn't want to waste your time here with this. So anyway, I hope this is helpful for the people who wanted to know. I mean, if nothing else, you got to see the inside of an Acoustasonic Jazzmaster, and you got to see how PowerPins go in. So y'all have a great day. I appreciate you watching the video. Hope it helped you out. Thank you for watching this Isolation Alaska video. Music and all kinds of things from the last frontier.